Have you ever thought about this? What if your tech didn't just know what you wanted to hear, but how you were feeling? Today, we're going to dive into this really cutting-edge world where AI meets music, and it's all driven by the most human thing there is, our emotions.
So here's what we've got lined up. First, we'll get into the dream of a personal soundtrack for your life. Then we'll unpack the actual science behind reading faces. After that, we'll look at how the AI pipeline really works, the nuts and bolts. And we'll get into the incredible creative side of things. But then, we're going to pivot and tackle some of the serious ethical questions before we finally ask, what does this emotional future actually look like?
All right, let's just jump right in. The core idea here is honestly pretty simple, but it totally feels like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. We're talking about technology that can understand and cater to our feelings, like in real time.
And yeah, tech creator TiffinTech just nails it with this question. Think about it. It's not just about some playlist, right? It's about a soundtrack for your entire life, curated by a machine that can literally read your mood. I mean, that's the huge, exciting promise we're going to unpack today.
So the tech that makes all this happen, it's called emotional AI. But here's a really important thing to get straight. These systems don't feel emotions the way we do, not even close. As a UN report points out, this is what's known as weak AI. It's all about sensing and reacting to our expressions, not, having its own consciousness or feelings.
So that begs the question, right? How can a machine even begin to understand something as complex and human as an emotion? Well, the idea of trying to codify our feelings, it actually has a surprisingly long history in science, and that's exactly where we're going next.
You're probably not going to believe this, but the groundwork for emotional AI, it goes all the way back to Charles Darwin. Yeah, that Charles Darwin, back in 1872. He was the first to propose that our basic emotions are universal. Then, that idea got picked up in the 1960s by a psychologist named Paul Ekman. All that work eventually led to a system created in 1978 designed to map every single muscle movement in our faces.
So, Ekman's research landed on these 7, you could call them foundational emotions, that are recognized pretty much across all human cultures. And these are the core emotional states that most recognition systems, even the ones being built today, are trained to look for. It's like the AI's basic emotional vocabulary.
And this is the tool that makes it all possible. It's called the Facial Action Coding System, or FACS for short. I love this analogy. Think of it as the alphabet of the face. It can break down any expression, a smile, a frown, whatever, into 46 distinct action units. So for a computer, a super complex human expression suddenly becomes readable data.
Okay, so we've got this science down. Now for the tech. How does a computer actually take that alphabet of the face and turn it into a command? Like, hey, play a happy song.
Well, it's basically a 4-step process, a pipeline. Step 1, a camera captures your face. Easy enough. Step 2, an algorithm detects all the key features, mapping out specific landmarks. Step 3, a machine learning model analyzes those landmarks and classifies your expression. And finally, step 4, the system acts on that classification. In our case, it triggers the music.
And this image is a perfect illustration of that detection step. This is literally how the AI sees you. When it uses a framework like Google's MediaPipe, it's not seeing a person, it's seeing a collection of data points, these landmarks. It's just tracking the position and movement of your nose, your eyes, your mouth to figure out what your face is doing.
But okay, how does it know that a certain pattern of landmarks means happy? Well, that's where the training comes in. As one study explains, these models learn by chewing through enormous data sets. We're talking about things like FER 2013, which has over 30,000 images of faces, and each one is labeled with an emotion. It just learns the patterns over and over, so it can recognize them out in the real world.
All right, so we've covered the science, we've covered the tech, but so what? Why does any of this matter? Well, now, let's shift gears to what I think is the really exciting part. The insane creative possibilities this unlocks. Not just for artists, but for all of us.
Okay, this is where it gets wild. Just look at this example from Soundverse AI. The prompt you give it isn't a genre like rock or pop. It's a feeling, a memory. And the AI takes that totally abstract idea and translates it into this specific sound. Detuned music boxes, the vibration of a cello, the soft crackle of vinyl. It's literally composing a mood.
And here's another one, Lonely But Alive. How do you even describe that in music? The AI doesn't just grab a sad song or an energetic song. No, it builds an entire soundscape to match that really complex, nuanced feeling. You get these slow synthwave rhythms, that echoey reverb, and yeah, a lonely saxophone. This is AI acting as a genuine creative partner.
And this potential goes way, way beyond just making you a better playlist. Imagine this, wellness apps with soundscapes that literally adapt to your stress levels in real time. Or video games, where the music score swells and changes based on your actual fear or excitement. Some research even explores how dancers can literally conduct music just with their body movements. The possibilities are huge.
Okay, so we've seen the incredible promise, right? The creative upside is amazing. But every powerful technology casts a shadow, and we have to talk about the other edge of this sword, the really serious ethical problems that come with a world where our emotions are machine readable.
And this really is the one question that looms over everything else. When your feelings become just another piece of data, who owns it? Who gets to use it? And what for? This is where the conversation gets very real, very, very quickly.
And look, this isn't just some abstract academic concern. Check out these numbers from a UK survey that was in a UN report. A full 50%, that's half of all people asked, said they are not okay with emotion tracking being used in public ads in any form. That shows you there's a real widespread sense of unease about this stuff.
And that same UN report lays out the risks crystal clear. We're talking about the real possibility of companies manipulating us by appealing directly to our raw emotions. We're talking about our most private feelings and thoughts being turned into a product to be bought and sold. And it's just about the simple loss of control over our most intimate, personal information.
And please, don't think this is some far-off, distant future problem. This prediction from Gartner is
kind of startling. They said that by 2022, our personal devices would know more about our emotional state than our own families. And they made that prediction years ago. That moment where our devices know us better than our loved ones, it might have already happened.
So this brings us right to the heart of it, right? The core tension of this entire topic. It's this incredible pull of technological innovation on one side, clashing with the fundamental human need to protect our inner, private lives on the other. And in the end, we're left trying to find this really delicate balance. It's like two sides of the same coin. The promise is huge, right? We're talking incredible new art, truly personalized wellness, and tech that just feels more intuitive. But the danger is just as real. The commodification of our feelings, unprecedented surveillance, and the very real potential for algorithmic manipulation. Which leaves us with one final, really challenging question. As our emotions become data, how do we protect the very thing that makes us human while still embracing the future? You know, there's no easy answer here. As this technology keeps evolving, that line between helpful and intrusive, it's not just going to be drawn by engineers. It's going to be drawn by all of us through the choices we make and the boundaries we decide to demand.